before when I was younger.
Well, I guess the very beginning started when she was 8. Actually, when she was 6. She was in kindergarten, and they had diagnosed her with multiple mental health conditions, OCD, ADHD, the list goes on. And she was on multiple medications, very strong dosage, in fact, adult strengths at the age of 6. And she was on 5 different medications. She wasn't getting better. And I remember saying to the psychiatrist, if this is what it is, shouldn't she be getting better, not worse? And the psychiatrist told me I was in denial, and I needed to accept that I had a very sick child and that she was going to end up in a mental institution. And there, but really I feel like God put us there. I was at a meeting about ADD and ADHD. I was a counselor at the time, and that trainer brought up Lyme disease and Candida and its effects, and I said, oh my gosh, that is my girl. That's what it is. Fortunately enough, at the time, we had a physician that was Lyme literate and Lyme aware, and I brought the information to her, and she said, I think you're onto something. By this time, she'd been on medication for about 2 years, so she was about 8 years old by this point. So then by the time she was 8, the doctor agreed to run the testing, and she had some funguses that actually were systemic in the blood, including the Candida and the Lyme disease and Babesia. Babesia is a co-infection of Lyme disease, so it's another infection that you can get from a tick bite. So we underwent treatment. She underwent treatment. Within about a month of being on treatment, she was able to come off of all psychiatric medications. The psychiatric symptoms had dissipated. Within 18 months of a rigorous diet change for the better and doing some treatment for the Candida, her gut was healthy. She was a healthy child. She was back to normal. She was the child that I always knew that she was. It was, I can't even put it into words. It was like being on cloud 9. It was because I always knew that the child that I had wasn't her. That child at 6 and 5 and 7 and 8, I just kept saying, this is not my girl. I know this is what she is. And she would say to me, Mommy, I don't know why I do this. I don't want to do it. I know it's wrong. I feel it's wrong, but I can't stop it. This wasn't something that she intentionally wanted to do. She could feel it and just couldn't get control of it. So when we finally had her healthy, there's no greater feeling for a parent than to have their child be healthy and normal and function and thrive. And she did. She was on cloud 9. It was not even on my radar. It was not. And I had Lyme disease, well, we suspect I had Lyme disease as a child because I had Bell's palsy. And we now know that Bell's palsy is a hallmarker for Lyme and other tick-borne illnesses. So it's very possible that I could have transmitted the disease to the kids through pregnancy because I was untreated. I didn't know. It was actually Kelsey's diagnosis that led to my awareness and finding out that actually our whole family was infected with it. He has it as well. He is basically symptom-free. We take preventative steps with him. He is basically symptom-free. He's healthy. He's active, complete opposite to his sister. Each case is so different, and what we're finding is each time is so different because now we have this is a second episode for Kelsey, and this is very different than what we dealt with the first time.
I have really bad stomach pains and leg pains and stuff. It's pretty painful. Like I'll have big bruises just come out of nowhere, and my legs will shake and stuff. Like I have good days and bad days. Most of the time, I'm just in bed or just at the house because I get worn out very easily.
We never know what our day's like. We don't know what our nights are going to be like. It is very dependent on how Kelsey's feeling, and she never knows from one day to the next. I'm very fortunate to have a position that I work from home as a telecommuter, so that allows me to be able to be there full-time, to be able to work full-time as well as devote care to her full-time. Many parents aren't in that position. We fully recognize we are very, very fortunate for that. But it's very unpredictable. We just don't know. It's a pain like none other. To see your child suffer and feel so helpless and so hopeless, it's really hard. I am so thankful for all of our friends and family. We have a huge support network that without them, I don't know where we'd be. Because we have to stay strong for her. There is no such thing as sitting down and giving up or crying and, you know, throwing in the towel. That's not an option. You have to keep fighting and you have to make a way. And so that strength, they kind of help us stay lifted up and standing up when you want to fall down so that we can keep her lifted up. There is a financial need. Those of us who go through Lyme disease, many of the doctors do not accept insurance, so it's an out-of-network, out-of-pocket expense. Many visits are $300, $400, $500, depending on what doctor you go. Your travel expense, there's no doctors on the Eastern Shore, you know, so you've got some travel expense as well, and then your medications, depending on your insurances, you know, your medications are higher. And for someone like Kelsey, her gut just has a difficult time processing and breaking down things, so all of her medications are compounded, so she's getting the purest of pure forms. So in formularies and insurance world, that means a higher copayment than even what your normal copayment would be. And you know, and then of course you take in the supplements, a lot of supplements. There's some genetic disorders as well that we're dealing with, and so supplementation has to happen, especially since she's not able to really eat right now. So all those factors add up. And as a family, we join together, we pool our resources, we do what we need to do. But it does become a bit much at times. I just think, you know, I've had people say to me, you know, Lyme disease is the lazy man's disease. I've had them say things like, well, be thankful she doesn't have cancer. And what they don't understand is that Lyme is really not much different from cancer. It's unpredictable. It is fatal. It takes their life. The difference is, and it's systemic, the difference is the treatment isn't available. A patient has to fight for treatment. The support is not there. Because myths are out there, the feeling is out there, oh, this is just people making this stuff up, they're being lazy, and that's both medically and social that's out there. So it's a completely different ball of wax. You have this debilitating disease that robs you of your life, and yet you're constantly having to explain yourself. You're constantly trying to justify yourself, and you have to fight. And yet you're fighting to stay alive. You're fighting to be healthy, and yet you're fighting a system to be able, that's supposed to make you healthy. There's a huge irony in it all. This is this year. This is since July. No, both of them.
Oh, goodness.
This is school.
Okay.
This is my notepad that every day, and when I talk to someone, I keep notes of everybody I talk to, in the medical, anything that has anything to do with Kelsey, any symptoms that we see change, and then her binder that carries all of her labs, medical notes, everything, so that when we're in any type of situation, we can take it and hand it right to the next person in the medical community. It depends on the day, and I think it depends on how bad she's feeling and where she's at and what the battle is. There's certainly been times when I've been very angry and I would love to just yell and scream at them. I'm reserving that because I feel like there's another productive way, a more productive way to go about it. And again, when she is well, then I'll go about that. So I try to set it aside, vent where I can in a healthy way, and then move on, because again, there's really not much time to harbor the ill feelings because we have to stay positive and stay focused. Kelsey will be having a port placed, and again, that's at 14. We last night had to have a very serious discussion over what type of port. Do you do a catheter? Do you do a port? And she's 14 and having to make these decisions instead of what dress I'm going to buy to go to homecoming or prom. That's where she is, and so she's decided that she will have a port placed instead of a catheter, and she will go on IV therapy starting next week, and we're hopeful that will be the start of putting her back on her feet. The IV therapy will be to treat the Lyme and its co-infections. She's got several. Kelsey has several co-infections that go along with the Lyme, so the medication and IV will be to address that. She doesn't take any pain medication. None of it's effective, so there's no need to take it. The parents need to listen to their children. Your children are not crazy. Listen to your children. Growing pains are not part of childhood. That's a big myth. Psychiatric illnesses is not part of childhood. That shouldn't be our norm. We shouldn't look at that as a norm for society. We need to look at why. Why is this happening? And push until you get the why. There's a why. And there's an answer to that. Push until you get it.
What do you want more than anything?
Just to feel like myself again.
When would you remember is the last time you felt like yourself?
Back in June when I was doing the air show.
You were doing the what?
Air show.
You were doing the air show last year?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I'm doing the air show this year.
She opened for the air show all 4 days for the national anthem.
That's awesome. So you're a singer.
Yes.
That's great. What do you like to sing? What kind of music?
Like pop music.
Pop music? Who's your favorite artist?
I like Meghan Trainor.
Meghan Trainor? All about that bass? That's great. So you're going to sing for me? I didn't think so. That's okay.